When leaving a place you aren't supposed to be, it's routine to consider what you have touched. I hadn't gone to Isabel Kerr's apartment looking for a dead body, but I had found one, and now I needed to ask somebody why. The person I needed to ask lived in a second-floor walk up on 52nd Street. At 8:18, I hit the buzzer.
Hello?
Yeah, Ori, are you alone?
Did you go? Did you get it?
Yeah, Ori Cather was the reason I had visited the dead girl's apartment. He'd given me his key and asked me to retrieve his detective's license, which Miss Kerr had lifted from his wallet.
What's the matter? Can't you place me?
Vultus es index enemy, but the face is the index to the mind. Latin proverb Wolfe uses when he's showing off. Sit down.
Good, I've often wondered. What the hell's eating you?
Is it possible you're playing me?
Playing you for what?
I wish I knew. I went to Miss Kerr's apartment at 4:30. As agreed, no one was in the living room as expected. No one was in the bedroom either because, properly speaking, a corpse is not a someone.
A corpse?
That's right, about a foot over 5 feet, honey blossom blonde hair.
Oh, my God.
Is that her?
Yes.
Well, then quit interrupting, because Wolfe never does. Now she, rather it, had been there for at least 5 hours. Purple spot on the arm, the leg, cadaveric lividities to you. I should tell you that the idea of sticking around to get your detective's license did not appeal to me. Now, Ori, I could have been really nasty and open with, why'd you leave the ashtray on the floor?
Now you want to know where I've been and can I prove it?
Look, I may be the only one who knows that her being dead pulls a thorn for you. A bad thorn indeed. So naturally, I'm curious. Look at me, Ori. Did you kill her?
No. Am I a sap?
No. You're no mental giant, but you're not a sap. You arranged for me to be there. Now, what if you had arranged for the cops to be there 5 minutes later? That'd be real nice if you could sell me. It would be even nicer if you were covered.
I'm not. I told you, I'm tailing somebody for Bascom from 7:19 until 3:35. I was alone in the lobby of a hotel.
Well, officially, I'm still curious.
What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have myself 2 servings of creme genoise. What you do is you crush 8 homemade macaroons and then you
Clone
soak
it. Are you gonna tell Wolfe?
Well, I would rather not.
Saul or Fred?
Hey, yeah, you know what doctors call professional courtesy?
Yeah.
Well, I sincerely hope you won't need any. It does not appear that the victim, a former chorus girl at the 10 Little Indians, was employed anywhere or engaged in any regular activity. I think that has a way of putting things, huh? The body was discovered by Isabel Kerr's sister, Stella Fleming.
Archie, do you mind?
The wife of Barry Fleming, professor of mathematics.
At the Henry Hudson High School. Mrs. Fleming had gone to the apartment at 7:30 p.m. Foy. I thought you had an engagement at Miss Rowan's.
Yes, it's for 1 o'clock. I may skip it. The lunch will be all right, but then a man's going to be reading poetry.
Whose poetry?
His. He calls it an epithon because it's an epic. It takes hours.
Serves you right.
I may not go.
You will.
Parched and hollow-cheeked, shriveling dry, cry aloud! On the voyage of the soul, work and philosophies, a false oasis in the sand, sees a mirage.
At 20 minutes past 4, I was in Lily Rowan's penthouse trying to decide which one I would rather have play for my team. Willie Mays or Sandy Koufax. I was leaning towards Mays because Koufax's arm is too much of a gamble.
All gritty, spittle-licking sand. My soul is questing God and love, work and philosophies. I run, gasping, dry, to drink and end all gritty, spittle-licking sand. My soul is questing, shriveling, dry.
Chigurwin speaking.
Mr. Parker is here. Ori Cather has been taken into custody as a material witness in the murder of Isabel Kerr. He called Mr. Parker to the police station and told him to consult with you. Why?
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
Dry and full to drink and end all gritty, spittle-licking sand.
Did he kill her, or was that your personal errand yesterday?
Now. If he said to consult me, I need to know exactly what he said.
Mr. Parker, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Mr. Cather only told me that he did not kill her, and that I should see you, and that you should decide, if you can, what to tell me.
Aha. Oh, that's just dandy. To be trusted like that, I really do appreciate it. Don't you play bridge on Sundays?
Yes, the call from Mr. Cather intruded. I was holding a king, queen, jack of spades, an outside diamond. Good chance to make a baby slam. Then the call, went back to the table, butchered it.
Terrible, terrible tragedy. You must be very, very heartbroken. Well, I suggest you go back to the table and resume your rubber. And try again. I am going to report to Mr. Wolfe because I would rather have him glare at me while I tell him than you glare at me while I tell you.
May I ask one thing, to be regarded as a question of privileged communication? Did he kill her?
Even granting that I know it would not be privileged, Mr. Parker, as I am not your client.
Hey, Mr. Parker, apologies for the kiboshed baby slam. We'll speak with you soon.
All right, here it is. Ori called me on Friday afternoon. He asked me to meet him for dinner. It seemed he was up a stump. He was set to marry this airline stewardess named Jill Hardy, but another woman named Isabel Kerr objected.
I'm done.
I was asked by Ori to go to the apartment of Isabel Kerr and retrieve some personal items that he left, including his detective's license. She had the idea he was the father of the baby she was expecting and ought to marry her. She intended to use the license as a club. The idea was that I go to Isabel's apartment and retrieve Ori's detective's license while Isabel was at the movies with her sister.
And you agreed to this?
I didn't care for it much, but for years, Ori has come in very handy for us.
So you went?
Don't rush me. I said to Ori, nothing doing, until I had the whole picture. Isabel Kerr had been rescued from earning her own keep and installed in a cozy nest. Now, Ori claimed he didn't know the name of the rescuer, but I insisted, and so he told me, Avery Ballou.
Ah, the president of the Federal Holding Corporation. And she took up with Ori Cather.
Yes, I accept that. You know, women don't fall for Ori as fast as he thinks they do, but he is no baboon.
And today you actually went to hear a man read poetry.
You know, you're sore. You want a target. I'm not it.
Oh, confound him. The question is, did he kill her?
I pass.
Was he bearing guilt when you sat across from him at dinner?
You know, murders have sat across from you in this very chair, and they've left with you still guessing.
Well, you like to give odds, don't you? What are they?
Even money, I'll take either end. That is, of course, ignoring my personal preference.
Which is?
I would rather not see a headline, Wolfe's assistant convicted of murder. People might think it was me.
All right, get Sol and Fred here immediately.
By 9:45, Wolfe was making a speech. Saul and Fred had been briefed by me and knew everything but the name of Isabel Kerr's good fairy.
If Ori killed that woman, we are not obliged to thwart the agents of justice. If he did not kill her, I have an obligation I can't ignore. You know I have no affection for him. The question is he capable of murder? Did he kill this woman? Fred, you've known Ori longer than I have. What do you say?
Jesus.
Oh, that's helpful. Did he kill her?
I say he didn't.
Is that your considered opinion?
To be honest, no. Ori's always done whatever he felt like with women, and they've let him. So if this Isabel Kerr got in his way, really blocked it, well, I don't know. I mean, I think I know. He didn't.
It's hardly decisive. Saul?
No.
Is that an opinion or a gesture?
It's a conclusion. Make it 50-1. I'm not saying I'm superior to Archie. He's just not conceited enough to see it.
Oh, yeah, that's flummery.
No, sir. Say he did plan to kill her.
Yes?
That means when he was planning the break-in with Archie on Friday night, he was setting Archie up to find the body. There's no way he would deliberately arrange to sit facing him and frame a deal like that.
All right, cross it off. Let's say he went there Saturday morning, no matter why, and she stung him. He flipped.
And he killed her, okay. He goes back to his tailing job. Mr. Wolfe, did Archie get any phone calls yesterday?
No.
That's what settles it.
Good. Wonderful. What? Explain.
What's Ori's worst fault?
He's pushy. He pushes.
Exactly. And you called him. If he had killed her, he wouldn't wait for you to call. He'd have pushed. He would have called you. Damn it, he's not some stranger that we have to guess about. We know him like a book. Mr. Wolfe, if you want to use me, it's on me. Expenses included. I have no more affection for Ori than you have, but I'd want to back up my vote.
Me too. I voted no.
Trouble is, I'm personally involved. I'd hate to embarrass Saul. So I guess I'll have to switch and vote no, too. It was hard to take the idea of working for nothing.
All right, we'll have to begin with banality. Who were the other tenants of the building? Did anyone see Archie enter or leave yesterday afternoon? That could become an issue. You will see someone? Who?
I guess the future Mrs. Ori Cather, if she's available.
I appreciate your offer, Saul, and yours, Fred. But this undertaking is mine, and your usual rates, and of course your expenses. Confound it, I'm going to bed. Good night.
Archie, there's a Miss Hardy here to see you.
The problem with Jill Hardy was not that she was hard to find, but that she was flying to Rio at noon. She came by the office on her way out of the country.
Miss Hardy? Please.
You look a little like Ori.
Ah, no, I don't. No. He's handsome. I'm not. But I'll tell you what, seeing you, I can understand why he wanted to merge. Oh, yes, indeed. I'll congratulate him again when I see him.
When will you see him?
Possibly this afternoon. When did you see him last?
What could he know about this girl's murder? You said on the phone he wasn't working for Nero Wolfe.
He wasn't. When did you say you saw him last?
You're supposed to be Ori's close friend, but you don't seem to know much.
And you are really tops at ignoring questions. Now, the cops don't hold a man without bail because he knows things. They hold him without bail because they think he killed her.
No.
Oh, yes. And when they hear about you, they're going to want to know where you were Saturday, what you were doing. That's the way their minds work, you know. That's the way my mind works. So where were you Saturday? What were you doing?
You wouldn't talk like that if Ori was here.
Oh, yes, I would. He wouldn't like it, but he'd understand. Miss Hardy, I like your looks, I like your voice. But for the third time, I'm going to ask you, where were you on Saturday And when did you see Ori last?
What could he have as a motive?
Ask the police, Miss Hardy, not me.
Saturday, I was at home in bed until 2. I'd been on a flight from Caracas that didn't touch down until 3 a.m. I saw Ori for dinner at a restaurant. I have to answer so many questions when I'm in the air that when I'm on the ground, I don't listen. Now get up and put your arms around me.
It was an order, and I obeyed. I tried to decide whether she knew she was in trouble and was trying to enlist me, or getting started on me in case Ori got eliminated permanently. Oh, right. All right, this is a cop I happen to know, and since you're in no hurry to talk, you will kindly duck. Right this way.
But I have to get to the airport.
If he sees you, you won't be going anywhere. Now, you're going to stay inside here until he is safely inside the office. Then you can make your move. Mr. Kramer, have you turned Ori loose yet?
No, not yet and not soon. Unless you give me a damn good reason. Can you?
Sure. Mr. Wolfe is going to look into it. Well, that's what you want to know, isn't it? If he's going to horn in? Well, he's going to horn in. I mean, that's what you came to ask, right?
Ah, nuts. Where is he? I came to get information. Has Cather ever spoken to you about Isabel Kerr?
Pass.
Has he ever spoken to you about Jill Hardy?
No comment.
No comment? No comment, huh?
No comment.
Can't get away with it, Goodwin. If a man is charged, he can clam up, but you're not charged.
Oh, I feel a yawn coming on.
I came to tell Wolfe. But I can tell you, before someone decides to kill somebody, he should make damn sure that she wasn't keeping a diary.
It would have been a shame to spoil such an exit line, so I didn't.
Mr. Pinter writes that deer season has begun. We should reply. Get your notebook, Archer.
Miss Kerr kept a diary.
How did you pry it out of him?
Out of who?
Mr. Kramer, of course.
How did you know it was Kramer? You're up with your orchids. Would you peer over the roof?
Of course not. Who else would be in possession of such a detail?
Anyway, as I was saying, she kept a diary. Even so, I doubt her last entry was, he is reaching for the ashtray and is going to hit me over the head with it. Now, we do not need a diary to tell us that it was handy for Ori if she died. We need the diary to tell us it was handy for somebody else.
You think Ori killed her?
No. I have looked over Saul's Point from all angles, and it packs a reasonable doubt enough for a jury. So it'll do for me. If it turns out that Ori killed her, I'll never forgive him. No. I'll cop his girl.
Well, now what? Or rather, who?
The sister, Stella Fleming. She found the body, or the sugar daddy, Avery Ballou. We could start there.
The sister. We'll discuss Mr. Ballou later.
The sister. According to the Gazette, Stella Fleming wasn't talking to reporters, so I decided it would be best to show up and wait outside her door until she let me in. There are lots of interesting things to do while waiting in a hall for 3 hours and 20 minutes. You can count the spots in the wall and sort out the cooking smells. And when people arrive or leave, you can look straight at them and notice which ones look back and which ones pretend they haven't seen you. When a hefty, broad-shouldered woman inserts a key into her lock and suspiciously asks you,
"Are you waiting for someone?"
"Yes."
Right. Archie Goodwin, is it?
If you're Barry Fleming, I am.
The doorman tells me that you're waiting for my wife. Well, she won't see you. She won't see anybody. She's taking this pretty hard.
Oh, well, now, I wouldn't want to make it any harder. It's just that Ori Cather's my best friend and he's innocent. Now, I'm sure your wife would not want to see him punished if he's innocent, would she?
course you wouldn't. And neither would I. Well, I don't see any point in you waiting out here. Come on. Darling.
Barry, you're living in?
He only wants some information. He thinks...
No, we have no information for anybody.
Mrs. Fleming, look, I'm not a reporter looking for a headline. See, I'm a private detective. I just want a few facts. Now, I know you don't want to talk to reporters because, well, your sister was a doxy, and you don't want...
My sister was a what?
A doxy. D-O-X-Y. I prefer the term over mistress or concubine.
No, you mustn't. I think you better leave.
Yes, I'm inclined to agree.
No. I don't want him to go. No. I want to know why he said that. Mr. Goodwin.
Yes.
Please, come, sit down. Why did you lie about my sister?
That line is wasted on me, Miss Fleming, so skip it. Anyway, it's not important, not now.
It is to me. It's the most important thing in the world. You see, my sister Isabel was 6, and I was 9 when our mother died. She was 12, and I was 15 when our father died. That's why it's so important.
Certainly.
No one is going to say about Isabel what you just said. If anyone said that at a trial, it would be in the newspapers. So there mustn't be a trial.
Well, Mr. Wolfe and I, we don't want a trial. Certainly not a trial of Ori Cather. And what we have to do is we have to establish enough reasonable doubt for the police. Or find somebody else, anybody with a motive. It'll never get to a jury. Can you help us do that?
Oh, yeah, that's pretty clever. But I must remind you that for my wife, the trial of the right man, it might be just as bad as the trial of the wrong man.
Maybe, but we have some information about the line they have on Ori Cather, you see. And if he were tried, well, it would probably come out that he and Isabel were together. It might even come out that Ori Cather was paying for your sister's apartment. Now you're shaking your head.
No, she's not.
Nah, she was. She was shaking her head.
No. Now, tell me about this line that they have on Cather.
Well, I can't do that. I got that in confidence. It was confidential information.
I'm a mathematics teacher, Mr. Goodwin, and I like problems. This is not just a problem, I know, but my mind has the habit. You wouldn't mind, dear, if I admit I'd like to tackle this problem.
Mrs. Fleming. Miss Fleming, I don't want to jar you again, see, but I want to know what your first thought was when you saw Isabel there and dead on the ground.
It wasn't a thought.
No, I mean, after the shock. I mean, did you think he killed her or she killed her? Very often, first thought is right.
There wasn't any such thought, Mr. Goodwin. Not then, not now. All I know is that there mustn't be a trial.
Did Isabel ever tell you about or show you her diary?
She didn't keep a diary.
Yes, she did. The police have it. There are names in it. Names that might...
She must have kept it locked in that drawer by her bed, that little...
Did she ever tell you the name of her provider?
No.
No? Well, that surprises me. I thought you were close.
We didn't speak of the arrangement. There were rules.
Was there anyone else close to her? Someone that perhaps she told?
She didn't tell anybody.
You could say that Isabel led 2 lives. One with my wife, a second with her circle. People from the theater.
Oh.
Under the circumstances, my wife chose not to associate with them.
It wasn't what I chose, Barry. It was what was. We can't tell you any names. Nobody can, and they won't, because there won't be a trial. There mustn't be. Now get out! Get out!
Good luck. Soon I was reporting to Wolfe exactly what I had found. Nothing. Wolfe's only comment was...
You've had no lunch? None at all? Nothing?
It's good for me. So do you comment or do I?
You.
1. Stella Fleming is petrified of people finding out about her sister. The most important thing in the world, she said.
Well, if it's still that important when she's dead, What was it when she was alive?
2. Stella says she doesn't know who was paying her sister's rent. She actually shook her head when I suggested Ori was.
So she knows.
So do we. And finally, Isabel had another circle, a separate set of friends.
Obviously. Any woman who eats by sufferance without a legal contract would prefer not to eat alone.
Most men wouldn't put it all on eating. Are you ready to tackle Avery Ballou?
We'll discuss that after you see Ori.
Where you see a man in custody in Manhattan depends partly on why the authorities think he's there. I saw Ori in the paddock. That meant they thought he was a murderer and were taking no chances. Mr. Parker has told you that Mr. Wolfe is on it?
Yeah, I knew he'd have to. I'm not his Archie Goodwin, but even me, he'd have to.
I prefer to regard myself as my Archie Goodwin, but we won't go into that now.
I need a favor, Archie. I want you to see Jill Hardy for me.
I already have.
God damn it, what'd you tell her?
Basically the same as you. Nothing.
You're wonderful, Archie.
What else have they got besides her diary?
Her diary?
Isabel kept a diary. You didn't know that?
My God, no.
She did. They have it, and we need your opinion. Would she have put his name in it? The rescuer?
No. She was too cagey.
Ori, who else knew about you and her?
Nobody. We were never together anywhere except her place. Look, Archie, you've heard me blow before, right? But not about her. She was so hipped on me, it scared me.
But you guys talked to each other, right? Did she tell you about the others? Which one would have killed her?
I swear I don't know. I'm such a damn fool, you know? I figured she'd get it. I wasn't her only contact. She couldn't be mine. That's when I got hit for the first time in my life on Jill. And then Isabel decided she absolutely has to have me for herself. There wasn't ever any baby. And even if there was, whose was it?
Give me a name.
Julie Jaquette. The woman she liked best was a nightclub singer.
Yeah.
At the 10 Little Indians. Julie Jaquette.
What is it?
All right, Ori has provided one name, a songbird named Julie Jaquette, who may or may not know a thing. So, I think it's time for you to see Avery Ballou, as it is quitting time at the Federal Holding Company. Now, come on, you can't keep putting it off forever here. While sex is certainly a factor, it's not the main point. Try this. She overheard him cooking up a shady deal, see? And she had to be silenced. So
Archie,
yeah.
Don't try to think you'll injure yourself. Put Saul on Miss Jaquette. He's being wasted on routine inquiries. A prodigy on a treadmill. Take him off.
What about Ballou?
Bring him here.
In the city, it's hard to create a duck blind, but there I was, waiting for Mr. Avery Ballou with a message mentioning the pink bedroom in the diary. This will interest you, Mr. Ballou? Is there enough light?
Interest me?
Yes, of course, this is not the place to discuss it. The best place would be Nero Wolfe's house. Best time would be now.
If you ride with me, keep your mouth shut.
I've said my piece.
You must leave the heads on. They'll be as tasteless as tissue paper.
Well, perhaps we should try one with and one without.
Fui.
I'm trying to seek a common ground.
With anchovies, there is no common ground.
Mr. Ballou is here. He's in the office.
Satisfactory.
All right, fry them then. But fry them separately. And signal to me before you drain them.
Saul called. He sounded flustered.
Saul?
Yes. Apparently, we're about to have some company. A Miss Julie Jaquette from an establishment known as the 10 Little Indians. She will come here between the 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock sets. Apparently, she has stipulated that she will not grant an interview unless she has a tour of the orchids.
Well, you send a boy to do a man's job. What do you expect?
Confound it. It's nearly dinner, and I will not be able to digest properly with the prospect of some chorus woman up there prancing about, making careless, sweeping gestures with her arms.
If the world only knew how you suffered.
For your information, I have never spent 1 hour in a pink bedroom.
No good, Mr. Blue.
Sir, I have nothing to say to your guess that I killed Miss Kerr, except that the idea is simply fantastic.
Can you account for your whereabouts between the hours of 8:30 a.m. and noon on Saturday?
There were phone calls, there were guests for lunch.
Can your wife account for hers?
You will, under no circumstances, go near my wife. I have taken great precautions that no one knew of my liaison, least of all her.
Your poise, sir. You are in a trap. Don't thrash about.
I never thrash about.
Well, then sit down. I prefer eyes at a level. Now, if it wasn't you or your wife, who was it then? I expect you to help me identify the real person who killed Miss Kerr. You know, of course, that Ori Cather is in custody. What you don't know is that he was on intimate terms with Miss Kerr for about a year, and she told him many things about you. Her provider. Naturally, she told you nothing of him, her Strephon. Apparently, she named him in her diary.
About this diary, was my name mentioned?
If she had named you, the police would have been to see you by now, have they?
No, they did not.
Well, then let me elucidate our common interest. I do not wish to have Mr. Cather tried, and neither do you. If he is, he most certainly will name you, and the dogs will be loose.
Well, obviously, I'm in a trap. When did Cather first learn my name?
I don't know. Do we know, Archie?
No, sir. I can find out if it's important.
Could it have been as long as 4 months ago?
Certainly.
I would like to know. It may not be important now, but I would like to know.
Who was it? You spoke with her about places she had been, people she knew. I need a fact, a hint. You spent many intimate hours with her.
Except for physical intimacy, there was no sharing of experience.
Phooey.
I tell you this under coercion. We read poetry.
Poetry?
Kipling service in London.
Yes, the fancy leather-bound books.
Can they get my fingerprints from them?
No, not with that fancy rippled binding. I doubt it.
This is remarkable. I wanted and expected names, and you have provided 3. Jack London, Rudyard Kipling, and Robert Service.
I did not read those poems and stories just to hear myself. She enjoyed them. We discussed them.
I see.
Now, sir, you expect to be paid naturally, and of course I have the means.
I am engaged on behalf of Mr. Cather, and you can neither pay me nor hire me. Now, a question.
But why can't I hire you? There's no conflict between Cather's interests and mine as you tell it. $10,000 a retainer?
They're ready?
20,000.
No, I'm committed.
Both of them?
Both of them.
Anchovy fritters. You can't keep them waiting or they lose their puff.
And these are the ones with the heads or without the heads?
Without the heads.
They're horrendous. They're tasteless.
Wolfe's digestion was definitely being challenged. Not only was he going to tackle a woman, which was bad enough, but a nightclub singer with a name like Julie Jaquette, which was absolutely preposterous.
Hi, who are you?
My name is Fritz.
Fritz.
I'm sorry, Mr. Wolfe is dining. He cannot
Nero Wolfe.
Hit it, boys.
Big man.
Go, go, big man. Go big, talk big, act big. Big.
Big man. Big man. Big man.
Big man. Baby.
Do big. Love big. Go, go, go. Now, show me the orchids.
Did you suggest this?
Nobody ever suggests anything to me. Now the orchid's big, man.
Miss Jacquet, it's conceivable that long ago, under different circumstances, I might have appreciated your performance, but not here, not now.
It's not a performance, man. It's me.
I don't believe it. The creature who pranced in here and mouthed that doggerel couldn't possibly eat or read or write or love. Are you capable of love?
Am I?
You see, 1 minute ago you would have said, am I man? So we're making progress. As for your wish to see the orchids, that can easily be gratified. But first I must finish my dinner. You're very welcome to join us if you care to. Fritz?
Oh, thank you, Fritz.
Another setting.
Very well, monsieur.
Do you want the man who killed Isabel Kerr to be exposed and punished?
Yes, man, I do.
Don't revert. I, too, want him exposed, because that's the only feasible way to release Oricada.
Saul, you little rat. Little rat scat boy. Rat liar boy.
Not guilty.
You said Wolf wanted me to help nail him.
I said help nail the killer.
Just because he works for you, you think you're gonna bounce him. Nuts.
Why are you sure that he did it?
Damn it, I even warned her.
You warned her that Mr. Cather would kill her?
No, that there was no telling what he'd do. They had the perfect setup, the damn fools, and then she decides she's got to marry him, and then he decides he's got to marry some other dame, and suddenly none of them had any brains. And when people's brains quit working, forget it. He had the sweat up, she put the sting on him, and he killed her.
I presume that you have told the police this.
I even signed my statement.
Tell me about Isabel. What was she like?
She was a duck. She had a good big heart, but she never let it bleed. We were close because we knew exactly what men are for and what they're not for. Or she did until that Cather baboon popped up.
Suppose you knew positively, no matter how, that Mr. Cather did not kill her. Who did that?
Easy. The lobster.
The lobster. Define your terms.
The man shelling out 20 grand a year to keep her. He found out about Cather and he killed her. ABC.
Eliminate the lobster. Extend the hypothesis.
Ooh, big words, big man. I could say the alphabet backwards.
So can I. Do you know Isabel's sister, Stella?
That beetle. Now, there's an idea, and it's not funny either. I honestly believe her sister thought Isabel would be better off dead. Oh, I gotta go. I go back on in 15 minutes. But hey, you could come along. Come along!
I decline your invitation, but thank you for asking, and I wish you well. I have the impression that your opinions of our fellow beings and their qualities are somewhat similar to mine.
Big man.
Of all the names we had collected so far, the only one with a worthy motive was Mrs. Avery Ballou. But approaching rich people is always difficult, so I turned to Lily Rowan, my most reliable and delectable source on the very rich.
Yes?
Yes. What do you know about Mrs. Avery Ballou?
You want a detailed resume?
Just her main interests, like if she happens to collect the autographs of famous detectives.
Oh, she can't be that sappy. I think what she is dull. No parties, no imagination. Strictly horse and hounds. Arabians and Irish wolfhounds. Something like 14 of them.
Go no further. Obviously, that is it. Thank you, my pet.
I hoped you wouldn't come. I'm tired. Sit. Aren't you gonna say anything?
Yes, my friend Lily Rowan would like very much to buy, one of these Irish wolfhounds for her place in Westchester County, and she said that you would be the person to come to see for advice.
I love wolfhounds. And they love me.
Yes.
When I'm in the country, my 8 favorites sleep in my bedroom.
Really? Your husband allows that, huh?
I doubt he even knows it. Why does Miss Rowan think she wants a wolfhound?
Protection, partly.
That's not good enough. You have to love them.
Yes.
You have to like it when a tail knocks over a vase or a lamp.
Well, Miss Rowan is prepared to love an Irish wolfhound. She sent a man to see you because she thought that a man would have better luck with you than a woman. I said to her that maybe a woman would have better luck with seeing your husband and achieve the same thing, but maybe he's not interested in wolfhounds.
My husband is interested in absolutely nothing but what he calls the structure of economics.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of that English woman who writes books about it?
Barbara Ward.
She might interest him.
Mm-hmm.
But no other woman could. I didn't get your name.
My name is Archie Goodwin.
Doesn't matter. Go away now.
Yes, perhaps I should.
Good day.
If I had been an Irish wolfhound, I would have wagged my tail and knocked something over. But I didn't have time. I still had to see our client before they locked him away for the night.
What do you got? Come on, Goodwin. He's been on the case 48 hours.
Something's missing.
What?
Anybody but you with a motive.
What about her keeper? She was cheating on him.
Wolf says Blue doesn't have the blood for a crime of passion.
And that makes it true.
I say no to Jill Hardy, Flemings, Julie Jaquette, and all for the same reason, which is they don't have a reason.
You still think I did it?
All right, give me a better candidate.
Don't you think I've been racking my brains? I can't think in here. Parker refuses to go for bail. Isn't Wolf good for it?
You know, now and then you are a sap. You know why? You go for bail, right? That'll push them to bite the bullet to charge you with murder. Now, Wolf, he would take you over every minute of every day. But me, I only got, 15 minutes? And you're our only hope. So make it good.
I got one.
You got one?
I got one. I come in once. She's talking to somebody. She says it's got to stop. And hung up quick. She's all flustered like it's another guy.
Wait, this isn't the keeper? There's a third party?
The keeper never called.
When'd you find out about this other guy?
Who?
The keeper. Come on, indulge me.
Right away. She had a lot of rules about when to come, when to go. Maybe this other guy.
No, this other guy, this other guy, he wasn't in the diary, otherwise he would be in here with you.
It's possible.
You know what, there's 10 million possibilities. But nothing that someone could sink their teeth into.
If she was seeing 3 guys, okay, and this third guy, he figures that if by telling Baloo he can spend more time with her, maybe that's the way to do it.
Time's up.
He was wrong. I was listening. I was listening to what he said and how he said it for indications, which was plain silly since we'd ruled him out as a suspect. But I couldn't stop being curious. The only good way to get a suspicion out of your mind is to get something else in. And so far, I had touched bottom with nothing to show for it. Wouldn't you get the feel better if you read it out loud?
Anything?
Yes, sir. We can scratch Mrs. Baloo. Even if she was told everything about everything, there's no way she could have killed Isabel. She'd have been too tired.
And nothing. 4 days and nights of nothingness.
No argument.
Confound it.
If you think that I shouldn't be considering Ori because we barred him, well, you're perfectly right. But the idea that he conked her popped into my head when I saw that dent in her skull. And it'll stay there until I have a better candidate.
Ask questions, then.
Why did Jill Hardy want me to put my arms around her?
Chaff, Archie.
All right, fine. Stella Fleming. Did she have a fit and kill her sister?
If she had, would she have gone back and gotten the superintendent to let her in so she could discover the body?
I don't believe it.
Neither do I. Barry Fleming.
Why did he let me in? Because he killed Isabel and wanted to let me in, find out how much I knew.
Under what motive did he kill?
Motive? Oh, you want a motive? Well, then it's Mrs. Ballou, because she is really a hellcat, just boiling with jealousy. But if that's the case, I'm a sap and you should fire me.
I'll consider it.
Make the deal with Kramer.
Ah!
His scientists have been over every inch of that apartment, offer to trade him everything we have for all the fingerprints they got.
My self-esteem will not allow it.
Byron wrote the glory in the nothing of a name. But Byron was a poet. A poet can take liberties that are fatal to a man like me. I was a fool. I should have known she might form an attachment. I assumed she did with Cather.
Archie?
She burned. She wanted to marry Ori.
I see. She was discreet. Of course, with him there would be no discretion. Doesn't that follow?
It does.
Cather knew my name. And since nobody else did, that makes him a scoundrel and a blackmailer to whom I've been paying $1,000 a month for the past 5 months.
What? Why the devil didn't you say this 2 days ago?
I didn't see it then, but now I see that Cather will not only be tried but convicted. And if he is, my name will be divulged, and that must not happen. My name? Connected not merely with a diversion, but with a sensational murder? That must not happen. This parcel contains a retainer of $50,000. I'm not asking for anything illegal. I don't care what you do or how you do it. Just keep my name out of it.
Of course, I do not have to stay committed to a murderer. But am I? Describe the man you paid the blackmail to.
But I've never seen him. One evening at home, I got a phone call. The man gave his name as Robert Service Kipling. Naturally, I took the call. The name alone was enough to convince me. He told me what he knew and how he knew it, and that I was to mail him 10 $100 bills the following day and the same amount on the 15th of each month. I did so.
And his name and address for mailing?
A fake name.
Indulge me.
The address was General Delivery, Grand Central Station. He used a different name. Milton Thales.
Thales?
Yes.
Thales?
Yes.
Did you tell Miss Kerr about it?
Oh, yes. I asked if she had told anyone my name. She said she hadn't, and of course she was very indignant. I realize now, of course, she lied. She knew it must be Cather. She told him to stop, and he killed her. My God, if I had known. Damn him! Just wait.
Get Fred and Saul. Tell them to come at once. Take Mr. Ballou to the front room and provide him with a drink.
Mr. Ballou. Fritz provided late-night refreshment, and I told Fred and Saul everything, except, of course, that X was on the spot.
I apologize for getting you out so late, but I need you. The man who maintained that apartment for Miss Kerr, call him X, was being blackmailed. I need your opinion as to whether Ori could be a blackmailer. Fred.
Just straight open and shut blackmail?
Yes.
Impossible.
Saul.
This was at the time that Ori was seeing her himself?
Yes.
Then no. That would take a real snake.
Satisfactory. But I didn't get you here just for that. There will be instructions if you will wait for them. May they use your room?
My room. Them. There's the kitchen they could use. Yeah, they could use my room as long as they don't rummage. All right. Let's go. The $50,000 was affecting Wolfe's mental processes. Suppose a man-eating tiger jumped into the kitchen window and then ran down the hall and saw Ballou. Oh, well, it was just too much of a risk to take.
I know who the blackmailer is, Mr. Ballou. It is not now and never was Ori Cather.
That name, Milton fails. You pronounce it as any American would. If I pronounce it Thales, does that stir your memory?
Should it?
Yes.
Thales? Yes. An early Greek who predicted an eclipse of the sun.
Thales of Miletus. 6th century BC. First great name, Archie, in mathematics.
I'll be damned.
He preceded Euclid by 3 centuries, I believe.
That is correct. He was one of the 7 wise men of ancient Greece.
The creator of linear geometry.
Yes, from the Greek, to measure the earth. He was...
I hate to break up this love fest here, but we have a murder to investigate now. Do you want to connect the dots for him, or should I?
Mr. Ballou, Miss Kerr told her sister your name, and her sister told her husband, Barry Fleming, who was a professor of mathematics at Henry Hudson High School. So, I have named the blackmailer.
Oh, by God, I believe you have. Thales of Miletus, Milton Thales?
Yes, my objective was to get Mr. Cather released. I could achieve it now by telling the police about Mr. Fleming blackmailing you, but I don't intend to do that. I owe you some consideration since I only knew of the blackmailing through you.
Then there's this. Yours.
Yes. A blackmailer is not ipso facto a murderer. I cannot accept it until I have concluded with finality that you are not the murderer. Question. How soon after the first call from the blackmailer?
Right away, a day or 2 later. She asked 2 or 3 times if it was continuing.
She must have asked him more than once to stop then. Perhaps she finally threatened to go to the police.
And better than that, she threatened to squeal on him to Stella. Right? Now, he could have called the whole thing off instead of killing her if she threatened to go to the police. But if she threatened to go to her sister, well, he'd have to kill her because sooner or later, you know, he'd run the risk of her telling Stella or somebody finding out through Stella because...
Mr. Goodwin is sometimes a little precipitate, but he has actually talked to Mr. and Mrs. Fleming.
Yes, I've seen them together. He may not be ipso facto a murderer, but ipso Archie Goodwin he is.
If I can earn this, I want it. If I can serve your purpose without damage to mine, I shall. But take that package with you when you leave, because here in my safe it might affect my mental processes.
What are you going to do?
What am I going to do? Confer with my colleagues. And if you don't want 2 more men in on your secret, go.
So, Saul, Fred, Wolfe, and I conferred. We considered doing actual detective work, but Wolfe would have nothing to do with anything so pedestrian. He is, as you probably have heard, a genius and feels the need to prove it from time to time. Thus it was that the next afternoon, I found myself at arm's length from an attractive young woman in bed, Miss Julie Jaquette.
Poor Isabel. A blackmailer for a brother-in-law and a murderer for a pet.
And hee-haw for a friend.
She only had one real friend. Me.
Now, I call you a mule only professionally. If I were going to be personal, I would call you a kitten or a snuggle bunny.
Do you realize that this is a bed and that I could reach out and grab you?
I am watching every move.
Have you seen mine?
To continue.
Yes.
I call you a mule because you have decided that Ori Cather killed Isabel. Yeah, you won't budge.
Why should I?
Because the 3rd smartest detective in New York, Saul Panzer, says he didn't.
Panzer's a rat. And I may be a mule, but I can count up to 2 and say the alphabet backwards.
Well, a mule would say it backwards. She was killed by Barry Fleming.
Do you have reasons?
Plenty. Just no evidence.
Not one little scrap?
Now, would you like to see the murderer get it?
Damn right I do.
Then you can help us, see? You can write Barry Fleming a letter, right? And you say that you want the $5,000 that he got from X.
Oh, I like that.
Right. Now, in the letter, you also tell him that Isabel used to tell you everything. And that she told you... No. What you do is you hint. You hint that you know he killed her, right? And that you know why.
Well, now that's a lot of lies for one little letter.
No, it's just one lie. And the lie being that she told you. Fact is, I told you.
You did, didn't you?
Now, he'd have to kill you once he gets the letter, but it'd be a cinch to get evidence of that. So, we'd get him and happy ending.
Are you married?
Married? No. No, I've asked at least 1,000.
Well, it's a damn shame it won't work between us.
Well, I think I'd get a Charlie horse just trying to keep up.
Well, plus, you'd only get a trip to the cemetery if I'm only going to be killed. What do I say in this letter?
What letter?
Hey. ZYXWVUTSRQPONMLKJIHGFEDCBA. You came here to deal me in. 10 to 1. 20 to 1. Wolfe wrote that letter out and you got it in your pocket, so let's see it.
Well, here's the thing. Saul, the rat, actually wrote it. I merely memorized it.
You know, no one's ever tried to kill me before. It'll make me feel important.
Now, once Barry Fleming gets that letter, you'll be a sitting duck. So where you go, we go, see? No dodges. None of this show what men are for business.
Just because you smooth-tongued me into sticking my neck out doesn't mean that you can suddenly tell me what to do and follow me everywhere.
Whoa. I doubt that you could be smooth-tongued into anything that you wouldn't want to be smooth-tongued into, but more on that later. The thing about it is this. You're going to have to behave and you're going to have to obey orders, all right? What do you swear on, the Bible?
Nah. Some of the men in it are awful. So are the women. We'll shake.
So, we had an accomplice. We spent some time setting out the rules of the gang, which was that one of us would be with her at all times until the murderer played his hand. By early the next morning, New York's finest operatives were in place. Saul Panzer took the street. Fred Durkin was in the lobby. And I was outside Milady's door.
Do you want lunch? I'm ordering breakfast. I always have fried eggs and bacon.
I never get fried eggs and bacon at home. Yeah, sure, double your order.
All righty then. Isabel figured out pretty quick she wasn't cut out for show business. Well, she had a lot of enthusiasm, but let's just say she wasn't the most graceful gazelle in the flock. So, what is it? Hello? Well, yes, Mr. Fleming, this is Julie Jaquette. Fine, man. See you then. Will he bring his own ashtray?
Sure.
Okay, well, you stay here, and I'm gonna put on something more comfortable.
Well, now I know how things fit, and that fits very well.
Wow, thank you very much.
Okay, now I'm about to give you an order, all right? Now you are to stay away from these windows and close the drapes, all right?
All right, Snuggle Bunny. Now, how are we gonna deal with him? Do you talk or do I?
Well, I'm the pro.
Excuse me. I'm the actress.
Not for a murderer.
Fine, then, you deal with him. Downstairs in the lobby.
Oh, that'd be real smart. Yeah, leave you up here alone? No, how about, I'll be seen but not heard.
Oh, I like that almost.
Unless I find it necessary.
No, you wait till I say, Bob's your uncle.
Well, answer it.
You get it.
It's your room and he came to see you. Now go.
Getting orders. You hide. Well, hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fleming.
Oh.
I believe you've met Mr. Goodwin?
This would be private.
Yes, well, won't you come in? So, have you got the money?
I'm afraid that Isabel told you some things that are not true. I'm afraid.
Ah, nuts. The only reason I haven't told the cops is because Isabel wouldn't want me to. She'd want you to cough it up.
She'd also want me to tell Stella, because that's what she was gonna do.
Honestly, Mr. Kid.
What do you think, Mr. Goodwin?
What do I think? I'll tell you what I think. I think we ought to call Mr. Kramer.
No.
No?
No?
Oh, I'll give you the money. Yeah, I'll give it to you. The banks are closed. I'll bring it Monday.
All of it?
Of course.
$5,000?
Yeah. But Isabel wouldn't want you to tell my wife. I'm sure she wouldn't. She just wouldn't want you to worry. Stella. Promise me you won't.
Oh, I'm not promising anything, man.
I'll promise for $5,000, but it's got to be here Monday.
Yeah, but Archie's promise is no good without mine.
Hmm?
Oh, what the hell, I promised to. You hashed it!
I hashed it. What? First you call me Mr. Goodwin, and then you call me Archie.
Well, now he's gonna have to kill you, too.
He will not. I'm just hearsay. You supplied the motive. You're gonna have to be removed. I'm sorry.
Oh, you've really dealt me in.
Yes, I have. I'm afraid so. You're absolutely right. I should have told you that once you're in, it's really impossible to get out. I apologize.
Well, I don't want out. He killed her. It's showtime.
I'll put a blanket on mine. You know we'll go out riding, 'cause cowboys and Indians get on just fine. Yeah, cowboys and Indians. Oh yeah, cowboys and Indians. Da 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 da, cowboys. My bow and arrow. You got your 10-gallon hat. Together we'll go out dancing, 'cause cowboys and Indians do it like that. Yeah, cowboys and Indians. Oh yeah, cowboys and Indians. Da 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 da.
I think motherhood is a wonderful thing, but renting a child is the only way I know if it's for me.
Well, I've got 4 for you to choose from.
All right, Sal, we'll see you later.
It was time to get Mr. Cat home, back to the Maidstone Hotel. Saul went home to get some shut-eye while Fred took the night shift. He and Julie were getting acquainted by way of his wife and kids. They negotiated all the way to the Maidstone Hotel. Knowing him, I hope she didn't think he meant it. And knowing her, I hoped he didn't think she did.
Well, okay, so summer it is. What's it gonna be, a boy or a girl?
Well, it depends on the price. Should it be about a pound?
More for the girl.
Archie, what do you think?
Get down! Get down! Get back! Get back!
Archie!
Stay down! Fred! Bastard shot me in the leg!
Archie!
You all right?
Yeah,
Get her to the ground.
I gotta get you to the hospital.
No, I've been to hospitals before. Take her now.
Sit down!
Bitch tried to shoot her while we were
Get inside!
Take her now!
Are you all right?
Take care of this man. Take care of this man.
You're alive.
Yes, just barely.
Who's the guest?
Julie Jaquette. She's alive, too. But it's not my fault. She was shot at late last night. Fred got it in the leg. He's at Roosevelt Hospital.
The sniper was not seen?
No, sir. But it's almost certainly Barry Fleming. All we need is a little evidence. I suppose you want a full report?
Yes, after you've eaten.
"3:20 a.m. There is a guest in the south room. Tell him. I'll cook her breakfast, A.G." Were you drunk when you wrote this?
Fritz, now I admit it's your function to cook breakfast, but she likes her eggs fried. You don't fry eggs. Forget what she wants. Poach them in red wine and bouillon. That'll show her what men are for.
Suppose we could get proof that Fleming killed Isabel Kerr. So if we got it and we gave it to Mr. Kramer, what will happen?
3 things. 1, they'll drop Ori fast. 2, Fleming will be tried and probably convicted. 3, they'll try to keep Blue's name out of it and fail. 4, make it 4, you won't get that $50,000.
What did I tell Mr. Blue?
That if you can serve his purpose without damage to yours, you will. But I don't see how we can possibly pull it off.
I wanted your opinion on risk, not feasibility. Could we conceivably jeopardize our purpose?
No. Ori's as good as out of it now.
All right, then there's no risk at all. No, the problem is to expose the murder without exposing X.
Kramer, as expected, ask Fritz to answer the door. I'll go up to Jaquette's room, make sure she doesn't sing some song for...
Come in. Hey.
You remember the script?
Yeah, but it's not very good.
Should we check it, though?
Sure. ZYX WVUT.
All right. I keep forgetting. Now, come on, Julie. You gotta really remember the script, okay? Okay. You know?
Oh.
3 paces inside the office, I stopped to take in an unexpected scene.
Well. Isn't this nice?
I want to know why you're guarding Julie Jaquette and who you're guarding her from. Durkin says he doesn't know, but you do. Who fired those shots at the girl, Goodwin?
I would suggest Ori Cather, but that's out because he's in the can.
Nuts.
Mr. Kramer, why not be forthright? You want to learn if I have collected any evidence that would weaken your case against Mr. Cather. Why not just be straightforward and ask me?
All right. I ask you. Have you?
Yes.
What evidence?
Not prepared to divulge it.
By God, you admit to obstructing justice.
That's a nice point. If I withhold information or evidence that would help convict a man, that is obstruction, yes. But if the evidence that I withhold would help to acquit him, is that obstruction?
Yeah, curious curiosity.
I don't know if that point has ever been raised judicially. Perhaps we should ask...
Mr. Parker. Ask my ass. If you've got evidence to clear Cather and can convict somebody else with it, I want it. Now you try to be forthright, Wolfe. Give me your word of honor that the shots fired at Jaquette had nothing to do with the death of Isabel Kerr.
I cannot. I suspect there is a connection.
But you haven't established it,
No. Mr. Kramer, I think it would be best for you to assume that I have no evidence.
Yeah. All right, Goodwin. Where is she?
Could you mean Miss Jaquette?
Yes, I could. You brought her here last night.
She's in the south room.
Squeak went mousy in the hall. Hole in the hall. Come in.
Good morning. Would you like a seat? How about a cocktail? Have a seat. Sit down.
Oh, it must be nice living large here, Miss Jaquette.
Yeah. I feel protected.
Yeah?
Yep.
Why? Why do you need protection?
Well, I might as well tell you the truth.
That's always the best way.
Yeah. Between you and me, I don't need protection. But last week, I met Archie Goodwin. I simply flapped. What a man! I had to have him.
Oh, criminy.
So I told Wolf a man was annoying me and I needed protection day and night. Now, Archie may not want you to know this, but he was there all day Saturday. In my hotel room.
If you didn't need protection, why did somebody try to kill you?
Maybe he was shooting at Fred, or maybe he was just shooting at anybody.
Do you know the penalty for giving false information to an officer investigating a crime?
Oh, what crime are you investigating?
You want to retract your statement that Ori Cather killed your friend Isabel Kerr?
I never said that.
You implied it good enough. Do you remember what you said?
Certainly I do. Hey, do you know that I can say the alphabet backwards? ZYXWU2 SRQPON.
Mr. Cat! Mr. Cat.
Me, big bad bear. Big bear. Go, bear, go.
I hope you know what you're doing, Miss Jaquette. Nero Wolfe and Archie Goodwin are two of the slickest operators in New York. You sure you don't want to reconsider?
No, thanks. You can leave the door open.
How much verity was there in what she told Mr. Kramer?
Every single wonderful word of it.
Can that woman be trusted in a matter that requires adroit execution and full discretion?
Well, she's not talking just to hear herself.
Then we'll risk it. Ask Mr. Ballou to come by at 11. Tell him I'll only need him 10 minutes. Miss Jaquette must not see him. Can you make sure she doesn't?
Sure. Fritz, can you arrange to be vacuuming outside a guest door at 11 o'clock? Make sure she stays inside?
Archie, I don't vacuum.
Yeah, I know.
Yes, I believe I could.
First point. I am now satisfied that you did not kill Isabel Kerr, because I know barely short of certainty that her brother-in-law did.
Can you keep my name out of it?
The problem needs definition. Of the 5 people who know your name, I can vouch for 3. As for Mr. and Mrs. Fleming, the best I could possibly do would be to create a situation which would make it highly unlikely that they would ever disclose it.
But I cannot open their skulls and remove the cells where your name is filed. You see that?
Of course. You would be the judge of the situation.
No, you will be.
I want to earn that money, not extort it. However, to proceed with any expectation of success, I need the assistance of a woman named Julie Jaquette.
I know the name.
Yes, I want to ask her for help. And if we succeed, she must receive $50,000 in cash. Can you provide it?
The question is pointless. I'm trapped.
I make it contingent on success to preclude any smell of extortion.
If you think she can help, get her. What's the difference? Another 50,000 or 10 times 50? $1 million!
At least wait till she was awake, Fritz.
I have my routine, Mr. Goodwin.
Yeah, well, so do I. I ought to be asleep, damn it.
You can sleep this afternoon. Mr. Wolfe wants to see you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Fritz.
Have you all the money you want, Miss Jaquette?
Of all the dumb questions.
Well, I need to know if a chance, a long one, but a chance of making $50,000 would interest you.
Less income tax?
No. The money would be in cash, and you would sign no receipt.
You know what I would do if I had 50 grand in one fat wad? I'd go to college for 4 straight years, maybe even 5. You give me the feeling there are a lot of things I ought to know that I don't know.
Yes. And the added pleasure would be that the money would come from the lobster.
Woo! Good job, big man. You know him?
Yes, but to you he is X and must remain X. His fear of exposure is extreme.
So you're serious?
Do you engage to keep secret what I tell you in confidence?
I can do that.
Then you're a paragon. Now for the fact that gives us our 1 chance in 1,000. There is a person who dreads the publication of X's association with Miss Kerr even more intensely than X does. Tell her, Archie.
Oh, that's good. That is very good. You know, I never saw it from that angle. Ha! Stella. Because Stella would do anything, absolutely anything, to prevent anyone from finding out about Isabel's association with X, see? Including not ever telling her husband. I mean, just preventing anyone from ever knowing this, right? But to drive the point home, I think I'm on the right path here, huh? She would have to know about the blackmailing, right? Well, that's where you come in. You have to tell... I think so. You have to tell Stella about what you wrote Barry in the letter. Is that right?
Well, why don't you tell her?
Well, because you can tell Stella things that Isabel might have told you, and I can't because, well, when I met her, she was dead.
Ah, so you want me to lie again?
Did Barry blackmail X?
Certainly.
Any doubt in your mind he fired those shots at you?
No.
Count to 2.
I have. Let's go.
Oh, take it easy.
What?
Call.
Yes, this is Mrs. Fleming.
Yes, Mr. Wolfe would like to see you. He knows who murdered your sister.
What's the address?
914 West 35th. Hello, Mrs. Fleming. How are you today? May I take your coat?
Yes.
Yes. All righty.
Thank you.
There we are. What do you got in there?
Nothing.
Nothing, huh?
No, give that to me!
Easy, easy. I'm just gonna have a look. You seem a little nervous there.
No, that's...
Well, look at that. A Bristol 22. How cute.
Give that to me.
No. There is a woman in there who's gonna say some things that you don't like very much. And you're very impulsive. Her name's Julie Jaquette, and she was your sister's best friend.
I was my sister's best friend.
Yes, well, you ought to know. Now we're gonna go in there and have a seat and be very civilized. Let's go. By the way, where does your husband keep his gun?
What?
Yeah, right this way. This was in her bag, but it is not the gun that fired those shots at you. And that's why I asked you where your husband keeps his rifle.
My husband?
That's breaking it to you gently. The worst is yet to come.
What is going on here? You said you'd found the murderer.
Yes, I did. This is a copy of a letter that Miss Jaquette wrote your husband. He received it Friday. You may have a look.
What is this? Who is Milton Thales?
Thales. He's your husband.
And X? Who is X?
That's the man who was paying the bills for Isabel. I had to call him X. You're the only one she told his name to.
She didn't tell me his name.
Yes, she did.
No, she didn't.
Yes, she did. Isabel wasn't a liar. You told your husband and he blackmailed X.
I didn't tell my husband.
No good, Mrs. Fleming. The blackmail is a certainty.
I can't believe it.
That's hard. But there's harder.
So that's why.
This'll give the police a motive for Isabel's murder.
I just can't believe it.
They'll get evidence of Barry's whereabouts the day Isabel was killed, and he'll be booked, tried, convicted.
Hey, you don't have to club her.
Oh, no. Pardon me. We're in a pickle, as Mr. Wolfe always likes to say. I was thinking about Isabel. You know, not only did Barry kill her, but now he's going to drag her name through the mud. The whole world will know. Everyone will know about Isabel and X. She doesn't deserve that. Now, there is one thing we could do, of course. You could convince your husband to tell the police there was another reason why he killed Isabel. That way we could keep her name out of it, keep X's name out of it, the whole thing. But mostly for Isabel. Don't you think that's a good idea?
You didn't even know Isabel.
True.
And you. It was people like you.
Hey, my little chickadee. I really loved her. I was her best friend. What about you? From what she told me about you,
I was her best friend!
Hey! Oh! Ow!
Okay, you, hey.
Are you all right, Mr.
Easy.
Yeah, I'm all right. But now you can clubber.
Mrs. Fleming, talk with your husband. We'll give you till Wednesday morning.
Get her out, Archie.
Here. I'll give you the gun at the door.
Imagination and invention are not the same thing. Invention is the product of imagination. The distinction might seem arbitrary, but it's not.
See, you're talking over my head on purpose. Show me one thing in a book, ask me if it's imagination or invention, and I'll tell you every time. And let's see you prove me wrong.
Possibly, but if we view literature as a discipline, a science.
You get on my nerves because you haven't got any. You wouldn't give a rusty nickel to know what she's doing right now.
But who's doing?
You see, that's what I'm talking about. Talk around the issues at hand. Do you live with us every day? Sure, dingle the little bell. Just when things get rough.
For the next 8 hours, everyone in the house did everything we could to keep from watching the clock. Wolfe spent time with his orchids. Fritz passed some time doing what he does best in the kitchen. By the time night fell, Julie and I had played 97 games of snooker.
Don't mind if I watch you? Prepare to meet your doom.
Must be Kramer.
My God, she hashed it.
All right. And you're gonna go to your room.
I will not.
Yes, you will, Snuggle Bunny.
I want to listen. I'm going to.
You make a sound, I am gonna boil you in oil. Mr. Kramer.
All right, I want all the rats out of their holes. You, Fritz, Hortzman, all of them. And I want the rats to start talking, especially the big one in here. You knew Barry Fleming fired those shots, and I want to know how you knew. You also knew that Barry Fleming killed Isabel Kerr, and I want to know how you knew that.
You're fuming, Mr. Kramer.
You're damn right I am.
Well, then you're at a disadvantage. Don't you want to compose your mind?
I want you to answer my questions.
You say that I knew that Mr. Fleming killed Miss Kerr. May I remind you that last evening I told you I had no evidence. I still have no evidence. Have you?
Yes.
Is Barry Fleming in custody?
No.
Do you think by any chance that I might have him here?
No. He's dead. He blew his brains out with a Bristol .22. His wife found him.
Was a policeman there? Had he been questioned?
No!
Then how do you know he killed Miss Kerr? How do you know anything at all? Don't expect me to clear it up for you. I've told you twice I have no evidence.
Well, he wrote it out. Nice and neat. He's a professor. She went out for groceries, and when she came back...
I hereby state and acknowledge that I struck my sister-in-law, Isabel Kerr, on the head with an ashtray and killed her. I did it in an uncontrollable frenzy of anger and resentment. She had been living in great luxury, and my wife and I were paying for it. I was at the end of my rope, but she would not listen to reason. I did not mean to kill her, but I do not expect forgiveness even from my wife, Barry Fleming.
He doesn't say he killed himself, but they seldom do. Who fired those shots at Julie Jaquette?
Oh, I do not know.
That's a damn lie.
I lie only when I must. And now it isn't necessary. The murder is solved. The culprit is dead. But you are a man who has an itch of curiosity, and I gall you.
You know, for once, Wolf, I agree with you.
So I tell you this. I learned, no matter how, who was paying for Isabel Kerr's luxuries, and that led me to her killer. I also learned, again, no matter how, that Mr. Fleming knew Miss Jaquette intended to make public certain facts. I did not know that he fired those shots. I do not know that now. But I give you my word of honor, everything I've told you is completely true.
Oh, nuts! You think you do everything right. Always cocky, huh? And you, Goodwin, how much did it miss you by with you standing there? About a foot? Did it go up your nose? Now you both realize that if you hadn't told Cather to button his lip, he would be out by now and Fleming would be in, and still alive. Oh, sure, you realize it, but you just had to show how smart you are. You just had to show how cocky you are. I wish to God... Oh, what's the use? You know, I hope you have the decency to send flowers to his funeral. And you can do the casket blanket, Goodwin.
Hey, Archie. Hey, what's that for?
I am deciding something that can't be decided any other way. Tails, Stella killed her husband herself.
Huh. I have a show tonight. Better go pack. I wish you well, Mr. Wolfe.
And you, madam.
You really think they know anything better about anything in college?
Well, I'm gonna give it a whirl. You gotta know something. Of course, all anybody really needs is to eat something cooked by Fritz. Then they'd know something worthwhile.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna help you pack.
Sure. You can pack my undies.
That wasn't the end of Miss Julie Jaquette. As I was going over the mail one day a year later, I got a personal letter. It was a pip.
Dear Archie, thanks for telling me about Ori marrying that airline girl. You know what I think of that, but I wish them well. I say that to people sometimes. In a class last week, we had to say something about imagination and invention, and I said everything Nero said that day at lunch, and it made their eyes pop.
See ya.
You're right. They didn't know any better. But I wish them well, too. How's Fritz? Tell him I can still taste the sauce he used in those sweetbreads. Write if you want. I wish you well. Jay.
For 1 o'clock, I may skip it. The lunch will be all right, but then a man's going to be reading poetry.
Whose poetry?
His. He calls it an epithon because it's an epic. It takes hours.
Serves you right.
I may not go.
You will.
Parched and hollow-cheeked, shriveling dry, cry aloud! On the voyage of the soul, work and philosophies, a false oasis in the sand. She's a mirage.
At 20 minutes past 4, I was in Lily Rowan's penthouse trying to decide which one I would rather have play for my team, Willie Mays or Sandy Koufax. I was leaning towards Mays because Koufax's arm is too much of a gamble.
All gritty, spittle-licking sand. My soul is questing God and love, work and philosophies. I run, gasping, dry as a felt drink, and end all gritty, spittle, licking sand. My soul is questing, shriveling, dry.
Chigurwin speaking.
Mr. Parker is here. Ori Cather has been taken into custody as a material witness in the murder of Isabel Kerr. He called Mr. Parker to the police station and told him to consult with you. Why?
I'll be there in 20 minutes.
And full to drink and end all gritty, spittle-licking sand.
Did he kill her, or was that your personal errand yesterday?
Now. If he said to consult me, I need to know exactly what he said.
Mr. Parker, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Mr. Cather only told me that he did not kill her, and that I should see you, and that you should decide, if you can, what to tell me.
Aha. Oh, that's just dandy. To be trusted like that, I really do appreciate it. Don't you play bridge on Sundays?
Yes, the call from Mr. Cather intruded. I was holding a king, queen, jack of spades, an outside diamond. Good chance to make a baby slam. Then the call, went back to the table, butchered it.
When leaving a place you aren't supposed to be, it's routine to consider what you have touched. I hadn't gone to Isabel Kerr's apartment looking for a dead body, but I had found one, and now I needed to ask somebody why. The person I needed to ask lived in a second-floor walk up on 52nd Street. At 8:18, I hit the buzzer.
Hello?
Yeah, Ori, are you alone?
Did you go? Did you get it?
Yeah, Ori Cather was the reason I had visited the dead girl's apartment. He'd given me his key and asked me to retrieve his detective's license, which Miss Kerr had lifted from his wallet.
What's the matter? Can't you place me?
Vultus es index enemy, but the face is the index to the mind. Latin proverb Wolfe uses when he's showing off. Sit down.
Good, I've often wondered. What the hell's eating you?
Is it possible you're playing me?
Playing you for what?
I wish I knew. I went to Miss Kerr's apartment at 4:30, as agreed. No one was in the living room, as expected. No one was in the bedroom either, because, properly speaking, a corpse is not a someone.
A corpse?
That's right, about a foot over 5 feet, honey blossom blonde hair.
Oh, my God.
Is that her?
Yes.
Well, then quit interrupting, because Wolfe never does. Now, it, had been there for at least 5 hours. Purple spot on the arm, the leg, cadaveric lividities to you. I should tell you that the idea of sticking around to get your detective's license did not appeal to me. Now, Ori, I could have been really nasty and open with, why'd you leave the ashtray on the floor?
Now you want to know where I've been, and can I prove it?
Look, I may be the only one who knows that her being dead pulls a thorn for you. A bad thorn indeed. So naturally, I'm curious. Look at me, Ori. Did you kill her?
No. Am I a sap?
No. You're no mental giant, but you're not a sap. You arranged for me to be there. Now, what if you had arranged for the cops to be there 5 minutes later? That'd be real nice if you could sell me. It would be even nicer if you were covered.
I'm not. I told you, I'm tailing somebody for Bascom from 7:19 until 3:35. I was alone in the lobby of a hotel.
Well, officially, I'm still curious.
What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna have myself 2 servings of creme genoise. What you do is you crush 8 homemade macaroons and then you soak it.
Are you gonna tell Wolfe?
Well, I would rather not.
Saul or Fred?
Hey, yeah, you know what doctors call professional courtesy?
Yeah.
Well, I sincerely hope you won't need any.
It does not appear that the victim, a former chorus girl at the 10 Little Indians, was employed anywhere or engaged in any regular activity. I think that has a way of putting things, huh? The body was discovered by Isabel Kerr's sister, Stella Fleming.
Archie, do you mind?
Wife of Barry Fleming, professor of mathematics.
At the Henry Hudson High School. Mrs. Fleming had gone to the apartment at 7:30 p.m. Foy. I thought you had an engagement at Miss Rowan's.
Yes, it's...
Terrible, terrible tragedy. You must be very, very heartbroken. Well, I suggest you go back to the table and resume your rubber. And try again. I am going to report to Mr. Wolfe because I would rather have him glare at me while I tell him than you glare at me while I tell you.
May I ask one thing, to be regarded as a question of privileged communication? Did he kill her?
Even granting that I know it would not be privileged, Mr. Parker, as I am not your client.
Hey, Mr. Parker, apologies for the kiboshed baby slap. We'll speak with you soon.
All right, here it is. Ori called me on Friday afternoon. He asked me to meet him for dinner. It seemed he was up a stump. He was set to marry this airline stewardess named Jill Hardy, but another woman named Isabel Kerr objected.
I'm done.
I was asked by Ori to go to the apartment of Isabel Kerr and retrieve some personal items that he left, including his detective's license. She had the idea he was the father of the baby she was expecting and ought to marry her. She intended to use the license as a club. The idea was that I go to Isabel's apartment and retrieve Ori's detective's license while Isabel was at the movies with her sister.
And you agreed to this?
I didn't care for it much, but for years, Ori has come in very handy for us.
So you went?
Don't rush me. I said to Ori, nothing doing, until I had the whole picture. Isabel Kerr had been rescued from earning her own keep and installed in a cozy nest. Now, Ori claimed he didn't know the name of the rescuer, but I insisted, and so he told me, Avery Ballou.
Ah, the president of the Federal Holding Corporation. And she took up with Ori Cather.
Yes, I accept that. You know, women don't fall for Ori as fast as he thinks they do, but he is no baboon.
And today you actually went to hear a man read poetry.
You know, you're sore. You want a target. I'm not it.
Oh, confound him. The question is, did he kill her?
I pass.
Was he bearing guilt when you sat across from him at dinner?
You know, murders have sat across from you in this very chair, and they've left with you still guessing.
Well, you like to give odds, don't you? What are they?
Even money, I'll take either end. That is, of course, ignoring my personal preference.
Which is?
I would rather not see a headline, Wolfe's assistant convicted of murder. People might think it was me.
All right, get Saul and Fred here immediately.
By 9:45, Wolfe was making a speech. Saul and Fred had been briefed by me and knew everything but the name of Isabel Kerr's good fairy.
If Ori killed that woman, we are not obliged to thwart the agents of justice. If he did not kill her, I have an obligation I can't ignore. You know I have no affection for him. The question is he capable of murder? Did he kill this woman? Fred, you've known Ori longer than I have. What do you say?
Jesus.
Oh, that's helpful. Did he kill her?
I say he didn't.
Is that your considered opinion?
To be honest, no. Ori's always done whatever he felt like with women, and they've let him. So if this Isabel Kerr got in his way, you know, really blocked it, well, I don't know. I mean, I think I know. He didn't.
It's hardly decisive. So?
No.
Is that an opinion or a gesture?
It's a conclusion. Make it 50 to 1. Not saying I'm superior to Archie. He's just not conceited enough to see it.
Oh, yeah, that's flummery.
No, sir. Say he did plan to kill her.
Yes?
That means when he was planning the break-in with Archie on Friday night, he was setting Archie up to find the body. There's no way he would deliberately arrange to sit facing him and frame a deal like that.
All right, cross it off. Let's say he went there Saturday morning, no matter why, and she stung him. He flipped.
And he killed her, okay. He goes back to his tailing job. Mr. Wolfe, did Archie get any phone calls yesterday?
No.
That's what settles it.
Good. Wonderful. What? Explain.
What's Ori's worst fault?
He's pushy. He pushes.
Exactly. And you called him. If he had killed